Greetings, and welcome to the Clipper and Shears podcast. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to part 2 of the science of hair, understanding hair types and textures. So let's get right into it. Today's sponsor, GSW Augustin, is the author of the audiobook Barber's Tool, Kit Your Hand On Guide to Killer Cuts and Sharp Tools, a great read for all of those barbers and hairstylists who are interested in taking their career to the next level, and also to attract and retain new ones. Thank you all for being here today. Hair and identity, the deep emotional connection. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever had a bad haircut and felt like your entire day or week was thrown off? Or maybe someone said something about your natural texture that stayed with you longer than it should have. That's because hair is not just physical, it's emotional. It's an identity marker. It can shape how we feel about ourselves and how the world perceives us. In many cultures, hair represents spirituality. Think dreadlocks in Rastafarianism or turbans in Sikhism. Social status. In traditional African tribes, the complexity of the hairstyle could indicate wealth or marital status. Resistance, like the afro during the civil rights movement. Reinvention, when someone goes natural, big chops, or grows out a shaved head. In the salon or barbershop, when someone sits in your chair, they're often sharing more than just their hair. They're sharing their vulnerability, their insecurities, their self-image, and that's sacred. Never underestimate the power of what you do. A haircut can be healing. A proper hair care recommendation can boost confidence. And embracing a person's natural texture instead of fighting it can be the start of radical self-acceptance. Cultural history, hair through the ages. Let's take a little walk through time. Across centuries, hair has been a symbol of power, beauty, rebellion, conformity, and status. Ancient Egypt. Wigs weren't just fashionable, they were status symbols. Hair was braided, ornamented, and sometimes shaved entirely as a sign of cleanliness and nobility. Indigenous American tribes. Long hair often symbolized strength and spiritual connection. Cutting the hair could signify mourning or punishment. West African traditions. Hair was intricately braided as an art form and a way of storytelling. Different tribes had signature braid patterns that could identify a person's origin, age, or social class. Colonial times. Enslaved Africans were often stripped of their cultural hair practices. Hair was shaved, hidden, or chemically altered to assimilate into European standards. 1960s to 70s. The afro became a symbol of black pride and resistance. Black is beautiful wasn't just a slogan. It was a movement that said natural texture is powerful. Modern day, we've seen everything. Lace fronts, locks, silk presses, natural curls, big chops, wave checks, and curl definitions. It's a hair renaissance, and we're living in it. When you study hair, you're also studying history, and that gives you a deeper respect for every texture you touch. Protective styling, texture smart solutions. Let's talk protective styles. These are methods of styling the hair in a way that protects the ends, reduces manipulation, and retains moisture. Why is this important? Because textured hair, especially type 3 and 4, is more prone to breakage due to its curl pattern. The tighter the curl, the more bends, and the more friction along the strand. Here are some common protective styles, their benefits, and key maintenance tips. 1. Box braids / knotless braids. Great for length retention and low maintenance. Scalp still needs hydration. Spray water plus leave-in plus oil works wonders. Don't leave in more than 6 to 8 weeks to prevent stress on edges. 2. Twists / two-strand or flat twists. Easy to do at home. Can be unraveled for twist outs or worn tucked. Great for reducing daily manipulation. 3. Cornrows, feed-in braids. Keep hair compact and neat. Allows access to the scalp for cleansing. Can be used under wigs or alone as a style. 4. Bantu knots, flexi rods, flash perm rods. Heatless styling options that define curls. Protect the hair while offering a polished look. 5. Wigs and weaves. When installed properly. Excellent way to switch styles without damaging natural hair. Be mindful of tension on edges, proper braiding underneath, and keeping the scalp clean and moisturized. Pro tip. Protective styling doesn't mean neglect. The hair under the style still needs love. Don't ignore the scalp, and don't skip the deep conditioning between styles. Climate and seasonal hair care. Weather plays a role. Let's talk about the weather, because hair feels it too. Different seasons and environments affect hair differently, especially textured hair. Here's a breakdown. In winter, dry, cold air can strip hair of moisture. Focus on deep conditioning and sealing with heavier oils. Protective styles can help reduce moisture loss. In summer, humidity makes curls pop, but can also lead to frizz. Use lightweight leave-ins and anti-humectant serums. SPF for hair and scalp is important. Yes, it exists. In dry climates, hydration is your best friend. Layer your products. Water-based leave-in, right-pointing arrow cream, right-pointing arrow oil. In tropical climates, use humectants with caution. They can pull too much moisture and cause swelling. Glycerin-free options may work better depending on the dew point. Bottom line, hair care is seasonal. You wouldn't wear the same jacket all year, your hair shouldn't either. Hair through the ages, children to elders. Hair changes with age, and understanding these transitions helps us care for every stage of life. Babies and toddlers, hair is soft, sparse, or sometimes non-existent. Focus on gentle cleansing and light oils, like coconut or almond oil. Avoid tight styles and harsh brushing. Children, hair becomes thicker, and curl patterns reveal themselves. Introduce gentle detangling routines. Keep styles age-appropriate and tension-free. Teens, hormonal changes can lead to oilier or drier scalps. This is when heat and chemical curiosity kicks in, so educate. Encourage scalp care and protein-moisture balance. Adults, hair reaches full density and strength in the 20s to 30s. Pregnancy, stress, or health issues can cause shedding or texture changes. Seniors, hair may thin or gray, which is really just hair without melanin. Texture may become wiry or dry. Focus on moisturizing and gentle handling. Teaching clients to love their texture. This part is for every professional in the room. When a client says, "My hair is ugly. I hate how frizzy it gets. I wish I had your hair," that's not just a complaint. That's a wound, a belief they've carried, probably for years. And you have the power to reframe that narrative. Here's how. Validate their experience but redirect their energy. "I hear you, but you know what? Your texture is actually incredibly versatile. We just need the right routine." Educate instead of overwhelm. "Your curls are doing this because they're thirsty. Let's try layering moisture and sealing it in." Model acceptance. "This frizz? That's your texture saying hello. It's not bad, it's just alive." People will remember how you made them feel long after they forget what products you used. Make them feel seen. Make them feel beautiful as they are. In our next section, we'll explore advanced styling based on texture, cutting techniques for each curl type, heat styling the healthy way, the truth about color on natural textures, and how to build a personalized regimen for every hair type. We've laid the emotional and historical foundation. Now it's time to master the practical techniques that elevate textured hair care from service to art. Let me leave you with this reminder. Hair is not a problem to fix. It's a personality to get to know. All right, everyone. Let's dive into styling with a purpose. We're not just aiming for what looks good, but what truly works with your hair's natural tendencies. Think of styling as an art, yes, but also a science. Understanding how different hair types and textures behave is absolutely key to creating a style that shines. Now, if you've got type 1 hair raids, that lovely straight hair, you might find it doesn't hold curls or volume for long. The secret here is to go light. Think lightweight mousses, texturizing sprays to give it some grip, and ceramic hot tools that are gentle. And a little dry shampoo at the roots is your best friend for adding lift and tackling any oiliness. Quick tip for straight hair. When you're curling, use those smaller barrels, and this is important. Let those curls cool down completely before you even think about touching them. Moving on to type 2, our wavy-haired folks. Your hair is begging for definition without being weighed down. Finger styling is your friend, and diffusing with a good curl enhancer or a light cream will really bring out those waves. Steer clear of those heavy butters. They'll just flatten everything out. Pro tip for waves. Grab a microfiber towel, or even an old t-shirt, and gently scrunch your hair. This will help fight that unwanted frizz. Now for our type 3 beauties, the curly-haired crew. Moisture, definition, and hold are your holy trinity. You've probably heard of the LOC or LCO method. That's your liquid, oil, cream, or cream oil routine. It's fantastic for locking in that hydration. And when it comes to styling products, look for gels with good slip that create a cast as they dry, which you can then gently scrunch out to reveal soft, defined curls. A crucial tip for curly hair. Always, and I mean always, style your hair when it's soaking wet. This encourages those beautiful curls to clump together. And last but definitely not least, type 4 are gorgeous coily and kinky-haired individuals. Your hair is incredibly versatile but also prone to shrinkage and can be a bit fragile. Embrace those stretch styles. Think twist outs, braid outs, and bantu knots. They help minimize tangles and show off your length. Butter-based products and oils are your best allies for sealing in that precious moisture. Here's a great tip for coily hair. Don't be afraid to layer your styling products. This will give you the hold, definition, and moisture retention you need. The most important thing to remember, no matter your hair type, is that styling should be about enhancing what you naturally have, not trying to force your hair to be something it's not. Alright, let's switch gears and talk about cutting textured hair. This is a whole different ballgame compared to cutting straight hair, trust me. Here's why. Textured hair has a mind of its own. It can shrink up dramatically when it dries, and then expand again when it's wet. That means any little unevenness can be hidden when it's wet, but becomes super obvious when it's dry, or vice versa, depending on how you wear it. And when we talk about layering, it's not just about creating volume. It's about how the weight is distributed and how that helps your curls to, well, curl. So what are some key approaches? First, we have dry cutting for curls. This is often the best method for clients who pretty much always wear their hair curly. It allows the stylist to see the exact shape and how each individual curl naturally springs. It does take a good bit of precision and patience, because every single curl has its own little personality. Then there's wet cutting for shape and symmetry. This can be really useful if you have clients who like to switch between wearing their hair curly and straight. Cutting it wet helps to establish a nice, clean baseline shape. The trick here is that the stylist has to really understand how much the hair will shrink when it dries to get it just right. And for those who want a really specialized cut, there's the Dava cut or the curl by curl method. With this technique, each individual curl is looked at and cut based on exactly how it falls. It's fantastic for sculpting the hair and avoiding that dreaded triangle shape that can sometimes happen with curly cuts. The golden rule here is to always have a good chat with your client. Understand how they usually wear their hair. Do they air dry? Do they diffuse? Their styling habits will directly influence which cutting technique is going to work best. Now, let's talk about heat styling. And let's be honest, a lot of us love to change things up with flat irons, blowouts, silk presses, or curling wands, right? And that's totally fine. But the way you do it makes all the difference between a gorgeous transformation and some serious damage. So what are the best practices? Always start with clean, dry hair. Never ever put heat on hair that's still damp unless you're specifically using a blow dryer. And this is non-negotiable. Use a good quality heat protectant. Look for formulas that are silicone-based. They create a barrier on the hair strand and really help to reduce the thermal damage. Try to keep your heat tools below 400 degrees Fahrenheit, especially if your hair is fine or if it's been color treated. Aim for the one-pass rule. A flat iron should really only need one slow pass if your hair has been properly prepped. And try not to use heat too often. Give your hair some time to recover and get its moisture back between styles. It's so important to remember that heat damage is often permanent. Once that curl pattern is gone, it's really hard to get it back without a big chop or at least some significant trimming. Silk presses should enhance your natural texture, not erase it forever. Okay, let's get into coloring textured hair. This can be like magic, or it can turn into a bit of a mess if you're not careful. Naturally, textured hair tends to be a bit more fragile. When you're using bleach to lift pigment or even permanent dyes, you're actually breaking down the very bonds that give your hair its strength. So what are some of the risks? You might see increased dryness because the outer layer of the hair, the cuticle, gets lifted. You could also experience a change or weakening in your curl pattern, especially if you're going for a really light blonde. And of course, there's the risk of breakage if the protein and moisture levels in your hair aren't properly balanced before and after you color. But don't worry, there are smart ways to approach coloring textured hair. Try pre-treating the hair with a bond repair product. Things like Olaplex or K18 can really help. When you're lightening, try to do it gradually. Don't aim to go from a deep brown to platinum in one go. Make sure you're deep conditioning regularly after you color your hair. And use toners to keep the color vibrant without having to overprocess the hair. If you're not quite ready for the commitment of lifting the pigment in your hair, there are some fun alternatives. Think about temporary color sprays or chalks. Hair paint waxes are fantastic for curls and coils, and semi-permanent rinses can give you a nice boost of color without a lot of processing. Remember, healthy color is totally achievable, but you have to be strategic about it, and always put the health and integrity of the hair's texture first. Now, let's bring it all together and talk about crafting a personalized hair regimen. Because let's face it, one size definitely does not fit all when it comes to hair care. Think of every head of hair like a unique puzzle, and the right hair care regimen is the key to solving it. Start by asking some core questions. What's the hair's texture? Is it straight, wavy, curly, or coily? What about the porosity? Is it low, medium, or high? How dense is the hair? Is it sparse, medium, or thick? And probably most importantly, what's the person's lifestyle like? Are they a gym enthusiast? A busy parent? Someone who prefers a quick wash and go routine? Based on those answers, here's a basic formula you can work with for building a regimen. First, cleanse, usually about once a week or as needed. If someone has low porosity hair, a low poo shampoo is often best. For anyone dealing with product buildup, a clarifying shampoo once a month can be a game changer. And for those with drier textures, co-washing or using a cleansing conditioner can be great between washes. Next, condition. A moisturizing conditioner should be a weekly staple. And for hair that's been color treated or tends to be a bit weaker, incorporating a protein treatment every 4 to 6 weeks can really help with strength. Then comes the important step of moisturizing and sealing. This often involves using a leave-in conditioner followed by an oil or a butter, depending on the hair's porosity. And of course, styling. This will depend on the desired look, but could involve creams, gels, or foams. These are generally applied to wet or damp hair in sections to help with even distribution. Finally, protection. Encourage your clients to sleep with a satin or silk bonnet or pillowcase to reduce friction and breakage, and remind them to avoid excessive manipulation of their hair throughout the week. It's so important to encourage clients to experiment a little bit to find what works best for them, but also to really pay attention to their hair. Hair communicates. It tells you when it's dry, when it's overprocessed, when it's thriving. Teach your clients how to read those signs. So we've covered styling, cutting, coloring, heat, and how to build a personalized regimen. In our next parts, we're going to be exploring things like men's hair textures and current trends, how to care for beards and the scalp based on hair type, the role of hormones in our hair health, the impact of nutrition on hair growth, and how to approach the topic of hair loss with both compassion and expertise. But for now, I want to leave you with this thought. Hair isn't just something we style. It's something we steward. It's like a little ecosystem on our heads. It responds to how we treat it, how we speak to it, and ultimately, how we value it. Now, let's shift our focus a bit and talk about men's textures and trends. Often, when we think about men's hair, especially textured hair, we tend to categorize it into just a few styles: fades, waves, locks, twists. But the truth is, just like women, men have a huge variety of hair textures, individual needs, and their hair plays a big role in their identity too. It's important to understand some common male hair care behaviors. For many men, they haven't been taught much about hair care beyond a basic shampoo. They might be dealing with things like dandruff, dryness, a receding hairline, and maybe not making the best choices when it comes to hair products. Some men might not even know their actual curl pattern or hair porosity because a lot of men's hair products don't really address those specific needs. As professionals, we have an opportunity to really make a difference by normalizing some key things. We can teach men the importance of moisturizing their scalp. We can show them that using a beard oil isn't some extra, unnecessary step. It's essential for healthy beard growth and skin. We can encourage protective styles like braids, two-strand twists, and proper lock maintenance. And ultimately, we can help men feel more confident in embracing their natural curls or coils. And for those who are rocking the waves, it's all about the technique. Brushing technique really matters. It's a balance of moisture and a good pomade. And things like durags and bonnets aren't just a trend. They're a crucial part of protecting those waves. Here's a pro tip for you. When you're talking to your male clients, ask them about their daily routine. You'll often uncover habits, maybe some misconceptions about hair care, or even some insecurities that you can address with empathy and your professional skills. Finally, let's talk about something that's often overlooked: beard and scalp health. These areas are kind of like high-maintenance zones that don't always get the attention they deserve. But a healthy scalp and beard are the foundation for better hair growth, better retention, and just overall comfort. Let's start with the scalp. Think of it like any other skin on your body, because that's exactly what it is. It benefits from monthly exfoliation to get rid of product buildup and flakes. Using scalp serums or oils with ingredients like tea tree, peppermint, or rosemary can be really stimulating for growth. And if you have clients who are balding or have a shaved head, remind them to protect their scalp from UV rays. Yes, your scalp can absolutely get sunburned. Now for the beard. Beards, especially for black men or those with curly hair, can often be coarse and dry. It's important to use a dedicated beard wash, not a harsh bar soap or regular shampoo. Follow that up with a good conditioner and a daily application of beard oil or balm. Encourage your clients to comb or brush their beard to help detangle it and train the hair to grow in the desired direction. If you have clients who are concerned about patchiness in their beard, you can suggest things like castor oil massage, incorporating biotin-rich foods into their diet, and just reminding them to stay hydrated and be patient. Beards do grow at different rates for everyone. Here's a helpful tip. Men often think that an itchy beard means it's time to shave it off. Educate them. Often, that itchiness is just dry skin or trapped debris underneath the beard. Proper care can usually solve that problem. Alright everyone. For our final segment in today's podcast episode, we're going to delve into something that has a profound impact on our hair: hormones. It's easy to focus on the products we use on our hair, but it's crucial to remember that our hair is also very responsive to what's going on inside our bodies. And hormones? Well, they're some of the biggest players when it comes to our hair's health and appearance. Let's break down some key hormones and how they influence our hair. First up, we have testosterone and DHT, or dihydrotestosterone. Now, while testosterone is often thought of as a male hormone, women have it too, just in smaller amounts. The problem arises when too much of this gets converted into DHT. Excess DHT can actually shrink those hair follicles, leading to what we know as androgenic alopecia, or male and female pattern baldness. This is obviously quite common in men, but it can also affect women, particularly as they go through menopause. Next, let's talk about estrogen. This is a hormone that generally promotes fuller and longer hair growth. Think of it as hair's best friend. However, when estrogen levels drop, such as after childbirth or during menopause, it can unfortunately lead to increased shedding and thinning of the hair. Then we have our thyroid hormones. If your thyroid is underactive, it can result in hair that's dry, brittle, and prone to shedding. Conversely, an overactive thyroid can lead to thinner, finer hair strands. It's amazing how much these little glands can impact our hair. Finally, let's address cortisol A, that well-known stress hormone. When our stress levels are elevated, it can trigger a condition called telogen effluvium, which is characterized by sudden, noticeable shedding of hair. Chronic stress can also mess with sebum production on the scalp, weaken the hair follicles, and even make your scalp more sensitive. It's so important that when we're dealing with hair loss or significant texture changes in our clients, or even in ourselves, we approach it with compassion, not shame. These aren't just superficial cosmetic issues. They're often biological signals that something might be going on internally. Now, let's shift our focus to another vital internal factor: nutrition. You know that saying, "You are what you eat"? Well, it absolutely applies to your hair. A hair follicle that's getting all the right nutrients is going to produce strong and healthy strands. But a malnourished follicle? That's a recipe for fragile, dull, and slow-growing hair. So, what are some of the key nutrients that really feed our hair? First off, protein is essential. Hair is primarily made of keratin, which is a protein. If you're not getting enough protein in your diet, your body simply doesn't have the raw materials it needs to grow strong hair. Then there's biotin, a B vitamin that plays a key role in strengthening the cortex, or outer layer, of the hair strand. Iron is another critical nutrient. Low iron levels can often lead to slow hair growth, or even increased shedding. We also need zinc to support healthy follicle function and help repair any damage. Don't forget about omega-3 fatty acids. These are fantastic for keeping hair soft, shiny, and hydrated from the inside out. Think of them as an internal conditioner. And lastly, vitamin D has been linked to follicle stimulation and can even play a role in regrowth in areas that are thinning. So, what should we be encouraging our clients to eat? Things like dark leafy greens, nuts, eggs, salmon, and berries are all fantastic for hair health. And of course, staying hydrated is absolutely crucial. Dehydration can lead to brittle hair that's more prone to breakage. When it comes to supplements, it's generally best to consider them only if there's a known or suspected deficiency, and always with a doctor's approval. And here's a pro insight for you. When a client's hair is suddenly changing or they're experiencing unexpected shedding, make sure to ask them about any recent changes in their diet, their stress levels, if they've been ill, or if they've started any new medications. These factors can often provide valuable clues. This brings us to the end of our in-depth look at today's episode. We're so grateful for your time and your ongoing passion for this incredible craft. Please join us again as we continue with part 3 of our series, The Science of Hair, Understanding Hair Types and Textures, right here on the Clippers and Shears podcast for even more expertise and inspiration. We'll see you all soon.